And we're on to our headliner. And I'm so excited about this. Our headliner is Kyle Lacy. Kyle has been recognized as one of Indiana's 40 under 40 by the Indianapolis Business Journal, Anderson University's Young Alumni of the Year, TechPoint's Young Professional of the Year. Kyle is currently the Director of Global Content Marketing and Research for Salesforce Exact Target Marketing Cloud. I'm sure you've heard of that little startup, right? Okay. Additionally, he is the author of 3 books, Twitter Marketing for Dummies, Social CRM for Dummies, and Branding Yourself. He's also a keynote speaker on digital marketing trends and consumer behavior who has traveled the globe speaking on behalf of those things. Please help me to welcome him to the Spark stage.
And all I can do is just boil some tea for two and speak my point of view, but it's not safe.
So I gotta, okay, we're starting. I gotta be honest with you guys on 2 things. Number one, I kind of feel like crap because I just followed a veteran and Megan who's talking about your authentic self, and mine's just a bunch of capitalistic crap. So bear with me here. And I'm a little bit nervous because I do this a lot. I average about 35, 40 speaking engagements a year, and I've never actually been timed. So with that said, what I'm gonna talk about is moving from owning a small business to working for an enterprise. So I work for now the Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and we're a $5 billion marketing technology company. You've probably heard of us out of San Francisco. And I'm giving you a little bit of information on what I do currently. So I lead a team of writers, journalists, and designers, and we design content for thought leadership for Salesforce. And it's basically everything from what does a Japanese consumer do with a mobile phone, to what does a German consumer think of Facebook, to what Brazil is doing with everything, basically. And we use that to drive leads. And it's a little bit different from what I used to do, which is basically be a criminal. But that's not true. This is actually at Round Peg. If you guys are familiar with Lorraine Ball, it's my first job out of college. I graduated from Anderson University in 2006. And when I first started working at Round Peg, Lorraine was encouraging me to start a business to work on what I did. And so this is from an IBJ article where we spray painted our logo on the side because our logo was graffiti, of course. And we started doing logo design as a business. And we realized that we actually had to differentiate ourselves to be a little bit different. So we started selling social media. And this was 2006, and it was really because at the time I was 23 and I looked like I just woke up every day, all day, every day, and I just hit a bong, and it was just really weird. I actually didn't do that, but I looked like I had. And so I went home, and my father's here. Where's my father? Is he still? He already left? My dad left me? I'm changing my 5 reasons why your dad can never leave you. I actually went back and I told my parents, we're going to start doing social media because it's the next thing and it's the coolest thing, and we're going to start selling MySpace pages to churches and Facebook pages and blah, 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 blah. And this is my mom's exact quote: "Why would you ever want to put pictures of your family and friends on the internet?" Kyle's mom, December 2006. And you could pretty much define, what do you think my mom is doing right now at this very instant? She is liking a picture on Facebook. She's doing something that has to do with social media. And so with that said leads to the first thing that I have learned since 2006, moving from a business where we employed about 10 people at its height to now it's 17,000 people at Salesforce, and that's what's next is not as important as what's now. And I think it's really cool to talk about trends. It's really cool to look at trends both from a personal branding perspective as a business. What is Amazon drones going to do to Google's driverless cars? And everything, even as far as what Ello is going to do. And if you don't know what Ello is, that's great. You don't need to right now, right? But what's now means, what is your consumer doing now? What are your clients doing now? What technology are you using now? What are you doing to further what you do, and what technology do you use right now? So when we're talking about like the bell curve on trends, social media in 2006 was right at the beginning, right? And if you look now, it's all the way over on the other end with mass consumption. It's pretty much hit mass consumption as a tool, which means that it's a channel to use. And if you look at it now, the sharing economy and driverless cars and all this crap that we talk about, that I get paid to talk about, surprisingly, is on that beginning of that bell curve. So when I'm talking about what's next, I think that we get too far ahead of ourselves when we think about the future. So the second thing that I learned was moments matter. And I tell moments matter a lot. It's a conversation and a story that I tell all the time, and I base it around this picture. This is from a photographer named Seth Castile out of California. He was trying to figure out what to do with life because as a photographer where a 5-year-old could take an Instagram picture, put a filter on it and sell it for $1 million, he needed to do something different, right? So he took the last bit of his money and he went and bought an underwater digital camera and actually took a picture of his dog jumping into a pool. And when you look at it, you can't say, that's not awesome, because it is awesome. He put it online, his friends saw it, his friends were like, this is the best thing ever. And he woke up the next day and he actually had sold quite a few pictures of his dog jumping in a pool. That's it. That's all it is. What do you think Seth does now as a job? He actually takes pictures of dogs jumping into pools. He travels the world, literally the world, taking pictures of people's dogs that have way more money than all of us combined in the room, I'm pretty sure. He actually has coffee table books, underwater dogs and underwater puppies. You can get anything that you want. I'm actually going to start a campaign after this on Kickstarter for underwater cats. And I've said that before, so any of you want to get involved in that, you can. But what Seth did that's important is he took advantage of a moment in time. He took advantage of an experience and built it for his personal brand. The same thing applies to if you're marketing your business or you're marketing yourself as a person, right? If you're taking advantage of moments, and this is a life cycle, you've seen sales cycle, there's 9 billion different versions of these, but this applies to your business as well as your personal brand. I'm aware of you, I evaluate you, I purchase what you do. I don't actually purchase you because that's illegal, and I use what you do, and then it gets a little bit iffy. But from a business perspective, you want to take advantage of every moment in time and use it to build experience around your brand. And that's what's really important because perception is reality with action. And I learned really early on at 23, trying to figure out what the hell to do with my life. Robbie, that's my cuss word for the day. That perception is everything when you're trying to sell yourself. But if you can't back it up with reality, then it's just perception and you lost. Right? Perception is a lie if you can't support it. We were selling social media to churches. How many do you think that we sold in the 6 months that I sold it? 0. I didn't sell one. We actually gave it away for free because we couldn't get churches to buy it. They bring us in and be like, oh, that's cool, MySpace pages, and then they wouldn't buy it. And then they would go do it themselves, right? But what it did, me building a brand around social media, it allowed us to build a brand for our company. And when social media actually hit as something that could drive revenue, it benefited us as a company, which leads to my books, which leads to speaking in front of thousands of people globally. Because I built an idea, a perception of myself that actually led to reality. And if you are in front of me and you're trying to sell me on something, and you can't back that up over the next year, month, 6 months, year, 12 months, I don't care, then it's a lie. And the same thing is if I'm interviewing to work on my content team. They are going to sell me what they can do, and I'm going to believe them, but if they don't do it, then what am I going to do? I'm going to fire them. The number one lesson that I learned from my old business partner's grandfather when he gave me a 7 in scotch at like 8 a.m. in the morning to talk about business, he said, the one thing I learned is fire fast and hire slow, right? And that also applies to perception. It also applies to what we do as Salesforce. We try to look at the future as technology, but if we don't back that up in the years developing our technology, then it's a lie. It's just a demo. And that's why we have events like we do as Connections, which is a user conference that we have, which was a couple weeks ago, where we had 8,000 people in Indianapolis. So you have to remember that when you're selling, when you're marketing, perception is everything until you can't back it up or you can back it up. And then it's just truth or a lie. Then the fourth thing that I learned very quickly is that data beats opinions. And I know that's an opinion itself, so forgive me on that. Data beats opinions means that we can sit in a conference room all day and try to figure out what to put on a billboard, or try to figure out how you talk about yourself in an interview, or how you talk about yourself in a networking event like this. But the only people that truly know why they bought into you or bought into your business is your customers or your friends, right? And when I say data beats opinions, it means using data, using customer data, talking to customers, talking to your friends about what makes you you, and using that instead of your own opinion on how you should sell yourself or sell your company. I think the biggest issue for business owners, even from an enterprise level, we have, case in point, we're the Salesforce Exact Target Marketing Cloud for a year. That's a lot to say, right? And it was an opinion based off of what we do as a company, right? So when we say data beats opinions, it means using data effectively to not make business decisions off of opinions. And this is my favorite quote that I use every single time I speak. We must move from numbers keeping score to numbers that drive better actions. And when I'm talking about that, it means more than just, especially if you're a consultant or you're a marketing firm, hey, I raised your likes by 20%, or I have a ton of followers for you, which I bought for $5.99 for 10,000 followers with some fake Twitter account, right? Or anything related to your personal brand. And it has to do with using numbers and using experience to drive more positive actions to push you forward as an individual better than anybody else, right? Which leads to the last thing I learned, which experience equals relevance. Data does not equal relevance. Data is the beginning of it, whether you are trying to figure out what to do in life or you're using data based off of your marketing plan. Experience always equals relevance. It starts with data, it ends with the experience. And the only thing that makes you different as a personal brand or as a company is the experiences that you've had that makes you relevant. That's all I got for you guys, so thank you.
Ah!